we're rolling. All right, Matt, thank you finally for getting together here. I really appreciate it. This is the first episode where we're remote. As you might be able to tell, we're sitting here at Active Endeavors in Davenport.
Yeah, just
It's
Davenport, Iowa.
Davenport.
Yeah,
Sometimes there's all those little Bettendorf loops in there that kind of screw people up where anyway, so I really appreciate you doing this.
you bet.
And what I want to do today is I think it'd be cool to find out your like how like today, here we are, we're in Active Endeavors. You've got this store and you've got the one in Iowa City. And
Technically, it's in Coralville, Iowa,
okay,
but yeah,
good point.
it's Iowa City, Coralville,
Yep.
kind of like Davenport, Bettendorf.
Yep.
Yep.
But I want to know the journey that it took to get to to here. And then we'll talk about your recent trip to Mount Everest, because I think that's going to be a really cool thing to talk about. A lot of people will probably want to hear about what happened there, how you got there, how that whole thing kicked off. But let's start with like where you grew up,
Sure,
and
sure.
then lead through what got you into this business, and we'll go from there.
You bet. Well, thanks for having me, and
Yeah,
thanks for coming to Active Endeavors. This is a pretty fun story, and I've gotten to know you and some of your good friends over the years. And again, I appreciate you coming here.
thanks.
But just to start with me, I grew up in a town called Mount Vernon, Iowa.
Okay.
So it's probably about 20 miles away from Iowa City area, an hour from here. So I grew up there, and then after I graduated high school, I went to Iowa State University. I was lucky to play baseball
That's right.
in college, so I I was there for 3 years. I had one medical redshirt year the first year I was there, and then played 2 years. And like normal, you go away in these summer,
Mm.
um, you know, collegiate sort of travel teams in the summer to kind of gain experience, try to expose yourself to maybe going on and playing baseball after college. And I had a little bit of a disagreement with my coach on a scholarship that happened. And each of us, I think, kind of said some things we probably shouldn't have said, and it was kind of couldn't come back from it. So that happened in August. So pretty much in about a week, I was finding my way to the University of Iowa
Yeah.
to play baseball. So I went there for 2 years, and I played there. And I was fortunate to be able to play a little bit after college. Tried to, we got a little experience playing some minor league baseball.
So you got drafted?
I didn't get drafted,
Okay.
no. I basically had a local scout in the Cedar Rapids, Iowa City area who sent a friend of mine, this Jeremy Lewis, and I up to Hibbing, Minnesota. And then we found our way into Canada for 2 years playing travel minor league baseball. So it wasn't affiliated through an organization, but the guy was through the Montreal Expos.
Okay.
And so it was really affiliated through the Expos for the first year and a half. And then I played another year of independent league ball. Lived in Brandon, Manitoba is
Oh,
where I
wow.
lived at.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you're in Canada.
So I was in Canada living. So that was my experience playing kind of ball, and we would play, 100 and some games. It was a lot of work,
What
right?
position did you play?
I was an outfielder.
Okay.
Yeah, I was fairly
I
fast.
was gonna say you gotta be pretty
Yeah, I was
fast.
pretty fast, but I'm 6 foot tall, and that's not that big when you're trying to play with some of those guys. And boy, I got introduced to some Latin players
Uh-huh.
and watching some of those Dominican players, and oh my God, it was really a joy to watch them play. I kind of thought I knew how to play the game,
Yeah.
but they taught me quite a bit in that first probably couple months I was playing with them. They were phenomenal, and I just thought, wow, you could field every minor league baseball team in America with Dominicans
Yeah.
alone, and it would be good baseball. So, but that was my experience. So, kind of how I came along after college. I had graduated, and a gentleman named Mark Weaver, who owned the Active Endeavors in Iowa City. I went in there and applied for a part-time job, and just needed something to do
Yeah.
in the off season because I was planning to go back and play like in March. So I went and worked for Mark, very part-time. Worked his floor, did his back room, getting inventory in and things like that. And that's kind of how I got to be part of Active
Mm-hmm.
Endeavors.
Yep.
And at that time, this would have been 1995.
Okay, I was gonna ask you what year that was. Okay.
1995.
So you were still in college, or you had like 1 year left,
No,
or
I
you were done? You
graduate.
were done. Okay, all
I
right.
had graduated college,
Okay,
and at that time, I had a job offer through a marketing company in
okay.
Chicago. Um,
Is that what was your degree?
well, I was accounting and
Okay,
marketing. Yeah. So I was had a job offer to go do that, but I got a chance to keep playing baseball.
right. Okay,
So I took that opportunity to keep playing. You know, you kind of come back and you're like, what the hell am I going to do now? So it's 1995. I am literally making $5 an hour.
yeah,
And
it's
I,
pretty good.
yeah, I thought I had some money,
Yeah,
like, but they take taxes out. So I got down to like $142. It was
yeah.
not much a week, but so anyway, that's how I got involved with Active Endeavors. Mark Weaver owned the Iowa City store. He approached me and wanted to know if I had any interest in coming to the Quad Cities. He wanted to open a store down here. And if I would come down here and kind of run the store, along the way, I would earn some opportunity to be given some of the business
Okay.
by earning it by my hours working,
Oh wow.
and then an
Shit.
opportunity to buy more of it. And I ended up, after a couple years, I ended up just buying all of it from Mark. He and I, the store was doing okay, but it probably wasn't enough for two owners to live off of. So I ended up, I want to say it was the early 2000s.
Okay.
I bought the store from Mark.
In Iowa City, or the one you
No, the
just
one, it
started
was
here?
in Davenport
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
And we were up on Elmore Avenue.
yeah.
We're kind of the first store on uh, I guess you'd call that the north side of 53rd Street.
Okay.
One of the first stores. And it was just a great opportunity. So that was 1998 that
Okay.
we opened that door there. I think I took over ownership maybe 2001, somewhere, give or take a little bit there. And I kind of realized the rent was a little bit too much at that particular location. So we ended up moving just up the road across the street here into an old Sam's Club or Walmart, I guess it was, a building. And we rented there for about 5 or 6 years. And then really got fortunate having some business growth.
Hmm.
And North Face was a brand we were selling that was just doing tremendous, and we were lucky to be
Yeah.
selling that brand. So it gave us an opportunity to build the building that we're sitting in today, and that was built in 2011.
So let's back up a second though, because I
Sure.
just want to get so the active in Iowa or Coralville or Iowa City,
Yeah.
like comparison to today, like how many SKUs are we talking and brands were you guys, was the store initially involved with, and then what is it today?
The
You know what
one
I mean? Like how
here.
did it, well, no, how did the whole thing get started? The business itself, like active,
So Active,
like what was their line, you
sure,
know?
sure. So Active Endeavors there was multiple stores in the Chicago area.
Yeah, and those are the
Evans,
ones I knew.
yep,
And
Chicago. Oh, there was like 5 or 6 all
was it
around the
Evanston?
Chicago. Evanston is the
Yeah,
first one, I believe.
yep.
And
That
then,
was a cool little store.
yeah, it's a great store. And at that time there wasn't really the internet wasn't relevant at that time, at least for online sales.
Yeah.
REI was a player, but not
Hmm.
much. Dick's Sporting Goods didn't really cater to the outdoor. So outdoor industry, we were pretty lucky to be one of the only games in town,
Yeah.
even in the Chicago area, right? There
Yeah.
wasn't a whole lot of opportunities. And so, long story, Mark Weaver brought Active Endeavors to Iowa City. I don't want to say that was like the mid 80s. And it was actually called Lost Mountain.
Oh, okay.
And then that store and the store in Chicago decided to kind of use their name together. So they felt like maybe they had better buying power, more, bigger
With
name and all
suppliers
that.
and stuff?
Yep, yep. So all those businesses were completely separate. So that's Mark Weaver brought Active Endeavors to Iowa.
Okay.
And then he owned the one in Iowa City. And then he also owned one in Des Moines.
Okay.
And that one came just before the Quad Cities. And so Mark owned at that time 3 different Active Endeavors. And then myself here in Davenport, we came along. And then Jason was the owner up in Iowa City with him. That's kind of how all 3 of us are involved together. And Mark retired. He sold off Active Endeavors to a different organization for about 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
And then I think those guys approached me and they wanted me to buy it. I don't think they were really into retail. They were more into real estate.
Ah.
So that's kind of how the Iowa City, evolved a little bit, So then Quad Cities came in 98 and we've been here for what, 28?
28 years.
Yeah, it's a lot of years.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
that's a long time.
I know sometimes I wonder where time's gone.
Well, I think it's amazing that you guys have such a cool niche in this area. Like you said, there wasn't a lot of outdoor stores. So where I was in Boston, there was a huge REI,
Sure.
but that was pretty much it. And then, then I would go to Chicago a lot, and I knew that other store, and they just had this cool like atmosphere to it. Like this store is like, I mean, you feel like you're in a lodge somewhere, you know?
Yeah, yeah. You know what? That's interesting you say that because you travel around, you see other outdoor stores, and you see the cool things they're doing, and you try to bring that back to the Midwest. It's kind of hard because we don't have the mountains here to play in,
Yeah.
but we got some
You got
hills.
hills.
We
I
got
got a lot
hills.
of hills that
Yeah,
people don't know about.
yeah. So we bring
Some
brands,
trails.
a lot of trails. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite gorgeous. We're lucky to have that big river running through here.
Yeah.
It's cool. But yeah, we're fortunate to be able to really almost play with any brand we want because there's not much competition around here. You know.
Yeah. Now, going back to like the store across the street, which you said that you were the guys were there for how long?
The one across the street was 2004 to 2011.
Okay. So then you're there and you're running that, and I'm assuming the store is doing well enough for where you start. Like this was like a green site, like there was no building here, right?
No,
So this was ground up.
it was an empty lot. Yep, it was an empty lot, and we wanted to build a building, and I had a gentleman named Tom Hepner.
Oh, I know Tom. Yeah.
Tom approached me about, hey, what do you think about building the building? And then that was I went down to his office and they kind of had this concept of this building that we sit in right now. And I just remember thinking, yeah, right, whatever.
Yeah.
I can't afford that. But Tom, along the way, he introduced me to a gentleman named Todd Fremel.
Okay.
Todd Fremel ended up building this building, and he was pretty raw. He was trying to get into the industry, at least from this perspective. And he did me right. Like he had great plans. He wasn't real interested in overcharging me. He was more interested in kind of putting a cool building on some space where people could see it and help grow his business. So the timing for us worked out really well.
Yeah.
And I just was lucky to have so many good people around me that were interested in seeing this building get built. And, along the way, they just help Active Endeavors grow. So yeah, we're fortunate.
So then that he owned the real estate, built the building, and you lease it from him, or?
No, no, no. I bought the land.
Okay.
The land was for sale, and we came and made an offer on the land. And then at that time, we were kind of assessing the land because it's kind of a weird
Yeah,
shape, right?
it drops off pretty
Yeah,
quick
yeah.
off
So we
there.
had these beautiful woods in the
Yeah.
background, and that we wanted. Where are we going to get woods in the Quad Cities in a commercial
retail,
market?
yeah.
So we found it,
Yeah.
and it was pretty important. We didn't really want to knock any trees down because that's what we were trying to build next to. So I think we only had to take down maybe 2 trees to get this. But we took those down just because they were old.
Old.
They needed to come down. And along the way, this building morphed into to fit the space. And we maximized it. We had to get some help from the city and rezoning it because it
Mhm.
wasn't meant for a building this size. And we had some great neighbors behind us that we made friends with and went to great lengths to make sure our construction wasn't going to affect a
Their
creek.
business. Oh, yeah,
They're
right.
residential
Yeah,
behind
yeah,
us, and
yeah,
they got
yeah.
a creek back there. We wanted
Yep.
to make sure it wasn't gonna raise the water levels
Yeah.
in their backyard. And so we were able to accomplish all that. So that was in like 2010, 2011. And then we just kind of watched this building get put together.
So you go from working at a store retail as a sales associate, basically,
Mhm.
making $5 an hour, to
Mhm.
owning it. So
Yep.
walk me through the progression of like, okay, now you have like a corporation, right? Like, I mean, it's a big company. How many, so like employee numbers, like to give scale. I don't want, you don't have to give me sales, but I'm saying from an employees then to now, and then like from across the street to here, how
Oh,
much did you
sure.
guys like
Sure.
expand or grow?
Let's just go back to 98. It was
Yeah.
pretty much, I was the only full-time employee. And then I hired a manager. he was my full-time employee, and then we had like 8 or 10 part-timers,
Yeah.
that were young people. Maybe there was Palmer. We were lucky to have some Palmer students. There
Uh-huh.
was Scott Community College. And then along the way, we started to grow the business. We were able to hire more people, pay them a more livable salary. And to be honest with you, in the outdoor industry, there's so many people that are excited just to play here
Yeah.
that they're willing to live that lifestyle where they need a lot of money right away. And they were pretty young, right? So we're able to grow that. And then when I moved across the street up here, so this is like 6 years later, we started doing pretty well. And I was able to hire more full-time employees, like probably got up to 5 or 6 full-time employees. Was able to pay better. And as you know, sometimes like I didn't know what profit was.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to
Right.
handle profit.
Right.
I'm like, oh, I felt good about this. This is
Yeah.
great. And then I'm like, the government comes in and
Yeah.
you're
It
like,
takes, yeah.
oh no,
Yeah.
I gotta go borrow money to pay on profit. This is
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it was an opportunity to hire even more people. So I think we got up to, at this location, 20 to 23 employees, probably 6 full-time employees. Started an adventure with our web business,
Okay. Yeah.
and we've never nailed that.
What year did you start that one? The online? It seems, I mean, I say recent, but it could be 10 years.
it's been a while because
Yeah.
actually it used to be called QC Online or
Okay.
QC. I'm sorry, QC Active.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had a gentleman who came to me and created that like when we were at our old location. So that would have been like 2006. So we've been doing it for a while. And this particular kid, he was a former Deere employee,
Okay.
and he just knew what he was doing.
You just built your website.
He built the website. He was doing things he was writing code. I didn't understand what he was doing, and some of my vendors even were taking notice.
Yeah.
So that was
That's funny.
interesting, and we were making money doing that right away. But as it grew more competitive, and each of our own vendors started to
Yeah.
start their own website and
Yeah.
sell on their own website, it's really made web sales quite difficult. I don't know how
Yeah.
else to.
No, it's, I would say it's probably, I mean, here, when I was in the corporate world, you had customer expectations became Amazon, right? So it
Right.
wasn't like you're competing against another store here. You're competing against Amazon
Oh, yeah.
delivery, overnight, instant, everything. And we used to just have to tell the customers, look, we're not Amazon.
Right.
So the expectations are, you just got to set them, right? So like if you're have your own website and you're trying to sell stuff and you're up against, all these online ridiculous,
Mhm.
Amazon is like obviously destroying everybody in that
Right.
market, like because of their ability to do it, right? They can get you something now in the Quad Cities, which is insane, the same day.
Right.
Like certain stuff, and you're like, how did they even have that?
You know what? They're so good at what they do.
Yeah.
They are. You can say they're destroying it, and it's making it difficult for folks like us. It's almost to the point where we treat a website almost more like marketing now.
Yeah.
And it's hard to compete there. We get some sales, there's no doubt about that, but it's definitely, we're brick and mortar, right? We are definitely a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
I feel like though there's still the customers, and I'm one of them, that I have to touch it and feel it, and I have to, you know what I mean? And I know that they make it easy to return stuff, but I still
Mhm.
like to come and walk around and see what else you got and all that stuff. So
Right.
let's talk a little more about the brands, because I feel
Sure.
like I don't know what it's like, but I'm assuming that they have salespeople that are coming here to
Right.
pitch their product. What do you carry? How do you guys decide on like a partnership or
Sure.
that kind of
Sure.
relationship?
You know what? We have so many good brands here. There's some big players, right? Like some of our main brands, I'll just name those: the North Face, Patagonia,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Hoka footwear, On footwear, Viore. I mean, we probably have, I don't know, maybe 150 vendors in our store. And it used to be that we were an outdoor
Mm-hmm.
equipment, right? A lot of equipment. And I would say the internet really hit equipment probably the hardest for us. Like people weren't buying sleeping bags and tents and some of those things like we were used to.
Yeah.
That really took a hit. So we became a little bit more like a clothing,
Mm-hmm.
outdoor specialty apparel, outerwear, things like that, which from our perspective, there's a little more money to be made in that stuff. Uh, it it's easier to get it shipped to you. It doesn't take up as much space, and we turn it quicker. So we don't mind that
Yeah.
actually, but I think anyone who starts working at an outdoor store in their mind is thinks about all that equipment, all those cool things you get to play with. Like if you like to go camping
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
running and hiking and all
Yep.
that, you get to play with those things. I think we've become a little less of that, not just because we want to, but because that's kind of
The
the
market.
market.
Yeah.
The market is dictating that,
Yep.
specifically in our market, right?
Yeah.
But we're fortunate to have brands come to us and present their products to us. We go to trade shows,
Mm-hmm.
and so we're traveling all over the United States to go to these trade shows. Sometimes we're traveling internationally to go to different things that our vendors are fortunate to take us to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And experience the product and use it.
Yep.
And then you also is kind of cool is to go internationally and see the products that are working in other countries. And so it blows me away. We're all pretty similar, right? There's some brands I've never heard of, but Patagonia, North Face, On, Hoka, everybody's heard
Yeah.
of those. Everyone all around the world right now is really doing well with that in our outdoor space. So, yes, we do have reps that come to us. We have fantastic reps. Uh, COVID changed a lot of that because COVID came along and sales reps were not allowed to travel
Oh,
anymore.
yeah.
They couldn't, stores either weren't open or maybe that corporation just said, you know what, we're not going to go in person. We're not going to expose you to those things. So it became a lot of online,
Yeah.
like FaceTime,
Mm-hmm.
doing all these
Yeah.
meetings and seeing equipment. And for me, like for example, you want to touch this jacket, it's hard to see that when they're holding it up
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's green.
What
Like
does it
you can
feel
see it.
like?
What's this feel
Yeah.
like?
How much does it weigh?
I,
Yeah.
I get it now because if I look at a brand over and over again, I already know that piece. But a consumer, I don't know how
Yeah.
you'd be like, oh, this is a really lightweight jacket. I want to come touch it and feel
Mm-hmm.
it. So a brick and mortar, like you said earlier, I like to shop. I like to feel the product, see the colors. I mean, if you come into our store and you see a color here, if you take it to one end of the store where there's not natural light, it looks so different than when you take it outside.
Yeah.
Or the weight of it, is it windproof? All these different things.
Yeah.
And I love the experience of having someone, a salesperson that can tell me about the product,
Yeah.
like,
Absolutely.
I want to know the features of it and why
Right.
am I paying $200 for
Yeah.
this shelf? So we believe in brick and mortar,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah. It's like, I think it's like learning. People learn in different ways, right? You can read a book about how to use your phone, or like think about your iPhone.
Right.
There's instructions in there and apps and I'm like using 1/10 of that phone,
All right.
right? So like if you come and say, all right, like you said, if you have experts that are your, salespeople here, they can explain, okay, you're gonna get like maximum water resistance, but you're now talking about heat, or like, so those kinds of
Right.
things you can read about it, but if you come and talk to somebody that's an expert, and I'm leading into what my wife and I do is we'll go to restaurants that have good servers,
Mm-hmm.
and if the servers are good, the other stuff is just like,
A
okay.
bonus. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
bonus. Yeah.
But when you have bad service,
Yeah.
it kills you. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
and that takes one time for having a bad
Right.
experience.
Right.
And I remember reading something recently, like maybe within the last year, it said something how like you could go to a restaurant and have a bad experience, but the people that will go back, it's how they handle the bad experience for you.
Sure.
So like they said that there's psychology where like say you had a bad steak and they comped your meal and they made you feel good, you're going to go back even though it
Right.
was a bad
Right.
steak
Yeah.
because of what they did to solve that little
Sure.
problem. And
Sure.
I'm just saying like, online it's pretty like it's just sterile, right? You're just plugging in numbers and
Right.
hitting
Right.
buy. Whereas you come here, you meet Matt, and Matt's telling you about the North Face jacket and all that. It's an experience.
Right. Right. And and going on the other side of that, sometimes like we're retail, we always have, not always, but we occasionally have people who aren't happy with their
Yeah.
service. And I promise we're trying to do our very best. All my employees here, we might be having a bad day personally or something, maybe we're a little short with the customer or didn't give them the experience they wanted. And that's hard. And then I hear about it like either a social media post
Oh
or a
yeah.
phone call.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, no way did my customer or my employee
Say
talk
it.
to them,
Yeah.
and but no matter what, I'm going to try to make it right. And I'm going to try and make sure that person at the end of my conversation, I want them to know we were truly sorry for what happened and come back, give us another chance.
Yep.
And we're going to comp you for that steak,
Yeah.
or we're going to do our very best to make sure your experience was great. And there's a whole bunch of stores here in the Quad Cities that people could go choose, especially like footwear. We got some great stores
Mhm.
in the Quad Cities who sell footwear. And what separates us from them, hopefully our employees are able to educate them about the shoe. And I'm sure the other stores are trying to do the exact same thing. But people come in and they get to know those people, right?
Mhm.
And we got a competitor across the store or the street here, and he's fantastic. He knows everything about shoes and he's involved in the community,
Yeah.
you know, and I love him for that. So are we. And we try to be, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we're better at it than others. And if I don't have something, I'm going to send
Yeah.
someone over to see Phil.
Mhm.
I'm going to do that, Dick's Sporting Goods, they have a great selection of stuff, but likely you may not get the best service there
No.
because you might get one person who knows something,
No.
but
It's
you're probably just going there because you know what you need and it's convenient, right? So it's hard as a small retailer. We don't have as much inventory on hand or the space to store it as like a Dick's Sporting
mm,
Goods. So we try our best in terms of customer service and brick and mortar to make sure our customers have a good experience. And even if they come in and we can't get to them, I think when they come into a building like this, it's pretty cool,
yeah.
right? It's kind of fun to walk around
Yeah.
and make sure it looks cool. So that was part of our goal here in this store was to, at least make it so if someone's coming in here, they're going to spend 20 minutes just walking around anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like you mentioned choices, right? So like
right,
I worked at Deere and there was always a choice. But
right,
what the loyalty part of this is, okay, I will pay 20% more because of the experience you get here, right?
hmm,
Versus going to Dick's and maybe it's, $5 cheaper, but I like coming here, like you said.
right,
So one of the things that I feel like maybe a lot of retail spaces or just maybe just small businesses kind of, not that you neglect it, but customer retention
mhm,
is obviously a huge thing, right? So you want
right.
repeat business, right? You're going to get so much percent of your sales through repeat customers or existing customers. What kind of programs do you guys have or any for like customer retention? Everybody has an app now and points and all this
Right,
other stuff.
right,
Like what that started coming in, I don't know, probably 10 years ago where,
right.
you could like Starbucks. I'm a Starbucks guy. I got the app, I get points, whatever.
Do you, if if you had a place you liked and they didn't have points, would you go back to them, or do you tend to find points are a factor that make you go back, or is it just a bonus?
All of it. I
All of
think
it.
it's all of it, right? Because for me, like I could look at my thing right now and I've got and I'm not like, like Delta used to have like
Right,
Sky
right.
Miles, right? But like my status at Starbucks is like reserve status, right? So like, I mean, I use it, my
Right,
girls
right,
use it, but anyway, it's kind of a cool thing. But you're right,
right,
like it's not like I go back because of that, but it's there.
right,
I
right,
have it, like Dunn Brothers, right? We've been going to Dunn Brothers at this one here and the other one for 10 years after we
right.
run. And up until like a month ago, we didn't even know they had an app. So
So,
awareness,
yeah.
right? Like,
So they create an experience for you that you just enjoyed the place and
yeah,
were happy with,
exactly.
regardless of the points,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Right. But the points, and I'll say this, Active Endeavors, we've always tried to mess with this. We really have. We do have a loyalty program here that people can accumulate points, and we try to capture people's names
Hmm.
and phone numbers, not necessarily to harass them, but that's our way of keeping track
Marketing.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can,
Yep.
and we have a mailing list, an email list, a text service, and it's pretty much the same people all the time. We keep trying to grow it. It's hard to do that. It really is. And sometimes you're just checking people out and you don't want to invade their space all the time. But yeah, we do have loyalty points, which, man, we're so fortunate over these years. I know most of the customers coming in here. I know, and I definitely know their face. Sometimes you forget names, but I can always go share a story with these people.
Hmm.
They ask me how my family's doing. Some
Yeah.
people come in here and remember when my daughter was born.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just it's crazy. We're so fortunate that when you've been doing this for 28 years, you see repeat people
Yeah.
over and over. But then we're always so interested in trying to grow and gain new people. And,
Hmm.
you know, I'm not necessarily like, I want to take care of the people that come here over and over again. Our sales are good. Even if we didn't get a new person, I would be happy just maintaining what we have and
Yeah.
just doing a better job with those people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, of course, we want some new people because, hey, people get older or they move or their
Yep. Oh
interests
yeah.
change or there's
Yeah. This
competition
is
that
like
maybe,
business 101 right
yeah,
here.
maybe
Yeah.
they like a new store better and
Yeah.
we get it, you know, or hey, maybe they're going to shop online because Hoke has got their shoes $25 off this week.
Yeah.
We get it. Um, but yeah, we're really interested in retaining customers. We try our hardest, and we don't always do it the best, but I promise we are giving it an effort, and we're thinking about it all the time.
Yeah.
You know.
No, it's for the consumer, the customer. For me, when I go and I have an app or whatever, and I get a reward, like when I checked out, I bought some shoes here, like the new Hoka Speedgoats,
Mm-hmm.
the
Sure.
black and white one. Oh
Oh
man,
yeah,
those are awesome.
I
But
heard
like
those are
I
good.
had like a $25 or like whatever it was, I had no idea. I had no idea I even had it. So that's the bonus for me. Is
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh shit, I was gonna pay whatever, but I
yeah,
got a discount. Fantastic.
yeah, yeah. And you know, this today and age, us getting a full retail price
Yeah.
on a product right now,
Yeah.
it doesn't happen very often anymore.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. I'm a terrible shopper. I just go to a store and if I like something, I just grab it. And
Yeah.
I went and got an oil change yesterday. And you know what took me to that oil change was this coupon card that they mailed me. But
Wow.
I went and got the oil change, and guess what I didn't have when I checked out?
The card, the
I did
coupon.
not have the card.
Yeah.
But for me, the card was the thing that came to me to remind me they were there. And oh yeah, that's where I like to go get my service done. And when I checked out, the lady was just awesome, you know, and she gave me the price. And I was like, damn, I forgot my coupon card.
Yeah.
And she goes, what was it? I can just honor that. And I went, I don't even know. I
Yeah.
don't know what the coupon
Right.
was. It just said oil change,
Right.
you know,
Right.
so I went and did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that you've shopped here for a long time.
Yeah.
You're loyal. And I know you're friends with some other shop owners in town here, and you try to spread your wealth and you talk so nice to everyone. So we're lucky to have people like you in our community for sure.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, you guys did a lot for me. I mean, we like just going back to 2015 into 2016 when we went out to do the Leadville 100, you were nice enough to have us come in and pick some stuff out, and it was awesome. And I still, I don't know how it came up, but there was a video that from that race where you probably remember, maybe you don't, but that first aid station I came in, and we had those nice Patagonia jackets,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that jacket was the best jacket. I wore it so much, it wore like the seams
Was it
out.
that red and blue one?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and they didn't make it anymore.
No,
Um,
I wish they would.
but
That
I
was
had that jacket, or I was putting that jacket on. I think I was switching jackets, and I literally my hands couldn't work. And I was like, Matt, can you just zip my jacket up for me? But the story about that jacket, like again, that was the best Patagonia running jacket I've ever had. It would be, you could wear it in the summer and you could wear it in the winter. It would be
right,
doing the same thing. And
right.
I remember coming here and shit, I don't know, it must be 2 years ago. And you guys looked for the replacement of that product. And they
Sure,
like the Houdini came out and that's kind of close, but not exact.
right.
And then, but I ended up getting like three of those Houdini ones.
They
But
have a new like they keep trying to improve that
oh, I
Houdini, just so you know, like a waterproof. It's
yeah, I got one. I was
yeah,
up in Wausau at that
right.
backyard, and there was a store like this. I can't even remember the name of it, but we went there, and they had that jacket. I can't remember the name of it. It's like the Storm, maybe? Is it?
Is it Patagonia?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's almost exactly like that blue and red one, but
Yeah,
it's like a yellow, like all
yeah.
yellow.
They're making
It's
some waterproof Houdini now. I forgot what the
yeah.
it's you know for me sometimes it gets hard because I'm buying product almost a year ahead. Like
Oh yeah.
I'm starting the buying season for 1 year from now. So when I look at products, sometimes I forget that I know what maybe they're changing or
Yeah.
what improvements they're making, or maybe it's going away,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I have to kind of forget that mindset when we're selling stuff here because I don't want to
Yeah, yeah.
not sell
Hey,
what
just
we
wait.
have. Yeah, just wait a year.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's hard, but boy,
Yeah.
there's just so many. We're so lucky to have so many good product lines here.
So let me ask you this: you're talking about inventory. and what to buy and all that. Like that must be really hard to figure out, like with limited space, like you said, do you have like data analytics?
We do. We use a software called Lightspeed,
Okay.
and Lightspeed has an analytical side to it where we can run all our sales histories, on hand inventories, break it down by gender,
Hmm.
size, color. I mean, you can break it down as much as you want, and the more features that you would want, you can pay for that from the company to help you create all these different reports. And I'm a simpleton. I've been doing this 28 years, right? And I'm probably it's easy for me because I know there's vendors that we are always going to sell, right? And it's hard because you develop a relationship maybe
Hmm.
with the sales rep or the company itself,
Yeah.
and everyone wants like growth every year,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's the
Hey,
hard
Matt, buy
part.
more stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Just order 10 more percent, whatever it
Yeah.
is, right? And sometimes vendors slow down and sometimes they come back, right? Like we've seen that from the North Face, for example, for us was just a monster. Like half our store was North Face inventory. It was wonderful, right?
Yeah.
And then it kind of slowed down. We had a lot more competition in our locally, like when Von Mauer started selling
Mm.
it.
Yeah.
Sporting Goods really grew their business, and then the online presence, right? So uh, that brand for us slowed down a little bit, and other brands kind of grew. But now North Face is fighting back, and they're really doing well.
Yeah.
They've got some great technologies. Uh, but in terms of trying to figure out what to buy,
Mm.
I might be the worst buyer in America. I I buy too much. I
Yeah.
know I do, and I'm always like, we can't fit this all in the store.
Yeah.
And my staff is like, we're out of
Where we gonna
hangers.
put
Where
it?
are we gonna
Yeah.
put this? We don't have room. And I'm like,
Yeah.
we always have room.
Yeah.
We always have room. But I try very hard. My goal when I go to a trade show is to get rid of like one or two brands and then maybe expand another brand to make some more room. But damn, if you don't go to that trade show and they have the best shit that you've ever seen, like I gotta buy that, right? I'm a terrible buyer. I will admit it. I have a problem. But with going back to data, we do have a
Okay.
whole lot of data. So
Yeah.
I have a really good idea whether I should buy it or not. And then in terms of the units that we might purchase or how many different styles,
Hmm.
I have a lot of data to pick from. Then you have this gut feeling, and I have McKinsey and Tim helped me buy here. Kyle's helped me buy here. Brian up in my Iowa City location helps me buy. I mean, there's just been a lot of people that have really helped me buy,
Yeah.
and not only sometimes probably give me opinions that I don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Kyle's quick to tell me, get rid of this, get rid
Yeah.
of that. I'm like, you're easy, why would you say that? You got a year of data to show it didn't work, but
Yeah.
where were you when I was starting to buy it? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so, um, it,
You know what must be, I mean, for me, I'm think about like when like sizes to me would be
uh,
like a really hard one to figure out, especially shoes.
shoes are a nightmare, but so there's like,
I guess there's a common size,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like, whatever, men's this size, women's
yep.
this size. So, but, like I feel like not just your store, but every store I go to where I see like a sale rack,
Hmm.
they never have my size.
No,
You know?
'cause what size are you? Like,
I mean, I'm
you're
a
a 12?
12. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, if I could just pick sizes for men, I'd just do size 10 through 12.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
cover most people.
Yeah.
We sell a lot of 13s. We really do.
Yeah.
We buy men's. I think we start at like 9, but we don't sell a whole lot of it.
Right.
I'm a 9.5, so I'm on the smaller size of the footwear realm. But we could probably bring in I wish every vendor offered 12.5. We'd sell
Yeah.
a lot more 12.5s than we would 9.5. Um, in women, if I could just have like 8 through 9.5, I'd probably cover most
Like
people.
80% of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So Iowa City,
Yeah.
we find up there, it's a younger market.
Yeah.
Their sizes are a little smaller. I mean, some of the women there haven't had children yet, right?
Yeah.
And
They're
then
all college
yeah,
kids.
they're all college kids. And then our market, we're seeing about the average size is a 9.
Yeah. Pretty
So
much, I'd
we've got
say.
a little older database here. It was a really interesting thing. I think we have like 15,000 people in our
Customer database.
customer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we
Wow.
we
15,000. Geez.
we exported that to this marketing company that we used for a long, long time, and they didn't sell it or do anything like that, but they did a deep dive into it, and they exported it back to us, and it was extremely like the level of education here in the
Oh,
Quad Cities that
hmm,
shop here
yeah.
was,
So you captured all kinds of
oh
data.
my God, like the median income was higher,
Yeah.
the education level was
Yep.
higher, the age was a little higher. It was amazing, the information that it really helped us kind of decide who to try to market to.
Yeah.
And I think that really helped our growth and shape who we're trying to bring into our store. Because
Yep.
we're not selling cheap inventory. We're not,
No.
and it's kind of by choice.
Yep. No, you
Um,
guys have a brand and you have a profile of a customer without a
yeah,
doubt. Everybody does, right?
yeah. And it's quite different in Iowa City. It's a little bit more of a transient town.
Yeah.
We don't, I don't have that customer database available to me that on a consistent basis. So it's hard. I'm still trying to figure out Iowa City. It's hard, and we're doing well up there. We're in just Iowa River Landing. I don't know if you've been up in that
Yep. I've
area.
been
It's
there.
just a cool area. We got a really cool store up there,
Yeah. It is
but
cool.
I'm trying to figure out our customer base up there a little bit better, and I'm looking for someone if they want to help me.
Yeah.
I'd like to
Well, I'm
do a
not
better
working
job
right
up
now,
there.
so
Yeah.
I'm a data guy.
Yeah. But going back to our vendors, wow, we have
Yeah.
fantastic vendors, and we're kind of throwing darts at brands. And there's a lot of brands that we would like to do as well that we don't have here. So when we do that, because we're limited in our space, we pretty much almost have to say, okay, goodbye to this brand.
Yeah.
And
But
I'm not very good at that because
yeah.
you develop
Yeah.
relationships with those
Yeah.
reps and
Yep.
stuff, but we try.
Yeah. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. You mentioned
Sure.
brand and you mentioned North Face, and North Face was very, prevalent here in the store, and
Sure.
it has been for a long time. So why don't you tell me about the recent North Face experience that you had?
Sure. Excellent. So I was at a trade show. I think I believe I was in Reno, Nevada, and uh, we refer to him as JE, Jonathan Evans. He's a sales director for the North Face. He had, I was leaving my meeting and he started walking with me and he asked if I would like to be a guest and go on a trip with him. And I'm like, where are we going?
Yeah.
Just kind of creating small talk. And he goes, well, I'm putting together a team to go to Nepal. And I'd be honest, I thought he was joking, and I almost got nervous right away. Like, what's this mean?
Yeah.
And he laid the seed in that. That was kind of the information that was shared with me. Maybe about, I don't know, 2 months later, he reached out to me and he asked if I would want to go. He was, he was putting together this trek to Everest Base Camp
Yep.
and then also to go climb a mountain called Island Peak. Okay. And base camp of Everest, that seemed, everyone knows where that is, right? But how am I going to do that? That was kind of the seed of it. And then he sent me all the information, the time frame that they were thinking, and he said, "Get back to me, let me know if you can make this trip. I've got some really, there's a couple guys already committed." And I've got a couple more on the fence, but I'm putting together a good group of guys. I think that you guys would get along well together. And that was kind of the start of it, right? Man, I got nervous, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
at that time, I'm like, I'm 53 years old. I'm not the best shape of my life, like maybe, I don't know, but how could I turn down a trek to Nepal?
Right.
And pretty
Yeah.
much the way it was put to me is North Face is, if you've got the time, we've got the dime, right? And so North Face said, we pretty much will take care of you this whole trip, be minimal expense to you. We just need your commitment
Yeah.
and we'll come up with a training plan to help you. And so I started asking my wife, and she just kind of laughed a little bit. And then I talked to the staff here. Immediately, my staff, like I told Kyle's like, if you don't go, I'll punch you in the face,
Yeah.
So that was kind of like, I knew I was going to go, but I was trying to figure out how I could make it happen.
Right.
Right. So at that time, I think it was presented to me that it was like 24 or 28 days, somewhere right in that time frame that we'd need to do that trip. And I was like, I don't have time to do that, man. I'm
Yeah.
running a couple businesses. I'm, married. I got 3 kids. Who has time to go away that long?
Right.
and the huge thing would be the money, right? And if you're going to go do this trek on your own, it's very expensive
Oh yeah.
to go do it.
Heck yeah.
But a lot of people, if you're planning this sort of trek, you save your
You save
money,
for it.
you
Yeah.
save for it, you start building up because you need a lot of equipment, a lot of clothing. So maybe you just start buying that over time. And I'm fortunate that we have active endeavors. I already own a lot of this equipment. But then, oh my God, Jonathan Evans, the North Face guy, he comes to us and what's your size? What's your shoe size? What size of jacket? What size of pant? All these things. Like, give me your dimensions, right? Give me all your stats. I'm going to send you guys some stuff.
Yeah.
Shit. My staff said we opened up a couple boxes and there's literally thousands of dollars of North Face Summit product sent to me to to try on and to wear on this trip. And
That's
they,
pretty cool.
they wanted our whole group to look like North Face, right?
Yeah.
We look like a North Face team trekking through the Himalayas. It was pretty cool. But I'm sorry, I want to go back to like how that trek started. I was very fortunate that my wife said, "You need to go on this trip."
Mm-hmm.
You got awesome staff that can run your stores. You know, we'll be fine here at home. We're kind of empty nesters now. Two kids graduated from college, one in college, so that really didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. My wife gave me her blessing, and then it became I got to train.
Yeah.
I got to do the
Yeah.
training for this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not in very good shape. What kind of training? And North Face reached out to us. They gave us a program to do, and we had an online training.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was called Training Peaks. Is
Yeah,
maybe the
probably.
name,
It sounds familiar.
the name of it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, go buy one of those fancy watches, that you can keep track of everything. And really, what that meant, then it uploaded all the data to them, so they could honestly, I believe,
Yeah.
make sure we're doing what we should be doing, right?
Right.
Because you don't want to go there and not be in shape. 'Cause
Right.
you're the weak link to the team.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give one shout out to Shields up in Iowa City. Um, I went there to check out a watch that these guys recommended, and it's like I think it's like a $1,200 watch or something like
Jeez.
that. And we have access to buy these things, at our cost. But I went to Shields and there was a young kid there that got the watch out and started walking me through all this stuff. And he asked where I was going, and I talked to this kid for like an hour. And if you didn't know, I paid full retail for this watch at
Yeah.
Shields. I want you to know that. Like, I appreciate Shields being part of my journey and,
Yeah.
and helping me get this watch that got me onto my training path. So
What is it?
it's the brand is Garmin and it's
Yeah.
just called the Phoenix.
Yeah. Phoenix 8.
Yeah, something whatever.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
it's got solar
Oh, yeah.
power,
And
so
it's got the flashlight.
yeah, it does all those
Yeah.
things. It's a nice watch, but for me, it was more of an instrument that I felt this sense of responsibility, and it was on my wrist. And it reminded me every day I need to get my stuff done.
Yeah.
I need to sleep. Some of
Yeah. Yeah.
those things, and I think again, going back to data,
Yeah.
it does help.
Yeah.
It gives you a sense of responsibility that you need to get these things accomplished and check to see if you're doing it right. It gives you analytics, right? Where am
Mm-hmm.
I at? You go out and train for 4 hours in a day. You want to see what your heart rate is,
Yep.
some of those things. So
Oh, yeah.
just want to go back to that.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was a great tool, you know. But so I committed to going with the North Face to this trek, and
And how long did you have to get ready again? Like from one time you
probably
said you're going till you left.
sure. So we did. It was probably like 8, maybe. I knew about 24 weeks out,
Okay.
somewhere like in that time frame. But the training part, we did an accelerated training. I want to say it was like 12 or 14 weeks
Yep.
that we did. And so for me, they gave you like in a day by day exactly what to do. And a lot of that included because we're going on a mountaineering trek and trekking through the Himalayas. There's a lot of elevation gain, mountains. Well, we don't have that in Iowa. So it was recommended to me get to know a Stairmaster,
Mm-hmm.
and I was on, I was on that more than I cared to, and it was winter, so it was kind of hard to get outside as much as I wanted to. even though it's kind of funny, I'm going to the Himalayas where
Yeah,
it's
right.
cold weather.
You're not, you can't
Yeah,
hide from
you
that.
can't hide from it. But so I spent a lot of time on an elliptical machine, a treadmill, and a stairmaster. And then I got to spend a lot of time um, out at Wildcat Den,
Oh yeah.
and I went out there and I would hike
Yeah.
those
That's
trails.
probably one of the best
I
ones.
loved it out there, and
Yeah.
honestly, there was snow a lot of days, mud.
Hmm.
There was really hardly anybody out there. I would just start hiking, listening to nature. It was awesome, and I hadn't done that in a while. And I was out there 2 to 4 hours at a time, and I would do several loops around there.
Hmm.
I think I got up to maybe like 16 miles hiking one day, carrying. Kyle gave me a vest, a weighted vest, and carried a backpack, and just the amount of time that I had, I would go out there because always Saturdays was like your long day.
Yeah. Yep.
When you had time, that was our long day. And I'll also say Kyle Dietz kicked my ass several times in the McQuillan Heights area, hiking around on those hills.
Yeah.
That was hard. We were just doing a fast walk, but man, that was I was thankful for Kyle getting me to do that because I went on my own a couple times after that in that area, and I probably wouldn't have done it if Kyle wouldn't have dragged me.
Right. Yep.
So that's part of like being a team, right?
Yeah.
You've got that. You
Yep.
you were a part of a team. You feel like a sense of obligation to your group, and you don't want to let them down. And plus, you develop,
Accountability.
yeah, this friendship, and it's
Yep.
fun to talk
Oh
and
yeah.
have those conversations you have while you're
Yeah. Yeah.
walking or running or whatever it is you're
Oh yeah.
doing. It was fun. Yeah. So.
So you're getting ready physically,
Mhm.
and I'm sure mentally, right? Because like you said, you're out there by yourself walking, so you have to get used to, being by yourself and mentally getting prepared to be out in tough
Sure.
conditions. And what about like diet and everything else? Because like you said, you're in the mountains. It's not like you're having steaks and stuff like that. You
No.
have
Well,
certain food they could carry
sure.
and bring, and
That was the interesting thing. I lost a bunch of weight to go here. There's no doubt. I needed to get myself in better shape for hiking around the mountain, and I did that. That was great. Those just came off with when you're working
yeah,
out 1 to 4 hours a day on those machines, you
yeah,
tend to lose some weight.
yep,
But so that happened for me. But when we were in Nepal, we ate so well.
good,
It was the biggest misconception. We really didn't talk about food. They just said, you won't go hungry here. That's what
okay,
they told us, right? But along the way, we had Sherpas and we had porters that carried our bags. And then we stayed in a lot of tea houses. So there was almost like a menu to order from quite a bit on your route. If you do the trek to base camp,
yeah,
they're not hotels. They're like hostels,
yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
will,
yep,
but they were really nice. I mean, they're beautiful places, and the people that were there were amazing. The Sherpas would actually service our food.
yeah,
They were there for everything. And then along the way, when we were at base camp at Everest, like you were like, what are you gonna eat here? We ate so well. They have cooks.
yeah,
I mean, we were eating 3 meals a day. There was more snacks than you could ever imagine. Like I didn't even want to carry them all. There were so many snacks. Water, we always had bottled water, or we took our filtration
yep,
system, so we always had clean water to drink all the time. I mean, it was just a great experience. So I probably gained weight being on that
yeah,
trek actually. So but I ate very healthy preparing. I had to give up a lot of my shitty food that I eat. I tried to cut down on drinking any alcohol.
yep,
I went, maybe I'd go out one night a week or something with some friends. But I gave that up for quite a while, which, that felt good actually,
mm, I bet.
but I missed the social part of it. There's no doubt, at least for me, but
I think what would be cool is because I don't know, but like just walk me through logistics in terms of like where you flew to and all that.
oh,
Because I think
sure,
that's a pretty cool. Like I would have no idea. I don't even know where you
sure,
would fly to
sure.
or fly
Well,
out of. And here's, how our airport here is. It's like you got to go to Chicago probably.
right.
I don't know.
Well, again, I was a guest of North Face
Mm-hmm.
and they said, where do you want to fly from?
Okay.
I said the Quad Cities.
Yeah.
So then I connected. We had to change our flights because of the war that is going
Oh,
on,
jeez.
or
Yeah.
not alleged war, but whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We couldn't fly through. I think we were supposed to go through Qatar, and that was under attack, or at least there was something going on. So it took a while for us to get new flights. and we end up going through South Korea into Seoul.
Ah, okay. So you
And
came that way.
yeah, so we all like I flew from here to Chicago,
Yep.
and then from Chicago to Las Vegas. And that was where I met all of my new friends that were doing the trek and the
Hmm.
climb with me. And we all met in Las Vegas. We'd done multiple sessions on Teams
Yeah, yeah.
meetings and things like that. So we all kind of knew each other and we had a text group going on. But it's the first time we actually physically met each other. And that was kind of cool just to,
Oh,
all
yeah.
these personalities come together that we thought online. People are different in person than they
Okay.
are online or texting. Um, but yeah, so that we met in Vegas and we had quite the layover after we flew from Vegas to Seoul. I think it was like a 12-hour flight into
Yeah.
Seoul. And I would say there is where we really got to know each other in Seoul because had that airport experience and just we went to one of those clubs where you can, rest
Oh,
around,
yeah, 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 yeah.
like a
Yep.
United
Yeah.
Club or whatever
Yep.
it was called. And that was that was a long day sitting there for a while. And then from there we had a 6-hour flight to Kathmandu.
Okay.
In Kathmandu, we stayed at this place called the Yakin Reddy, I think is what it's called. It's basically a 5-star hotel in the middle of Kathmandu, and Kathmandu is a developing country, right? Um, it easily, from what I saw, was the nicest property in Kathmandu. It was beautiful, and we stayed there for a night. And because and I should go back. I spent, I think, about 6 to 8 weeks in a tent, and
Oh, yeah, you told me. Yeah.
it's
Yeah, yeah,
a
like a elevation or like a yeah.
acclimation tent,
Yep.
and it was basically this tent that went over my body on my bed, and I would sleep in that when I go to bed at night, and you could set it so that it was like, hey, let's set it so you're sleeping at 12,000 feet,
Yeah. That's
and
good. Wow.
yeah, so that was quite the experience. I would tell you that was probably the hardest sleep I had, even more than being in Nepal at the real elevation. I struggled sleeping in that tent,
Hmm.
and I think all my friends would tell you the same thing. It's not easy sleeping in that. It's kind of lonely too, actually.
Yeah.
But so I slept in that for that time frame, and I did pretty well, but it wasn't easy.
So
Uh,
wait, I just want to talk, so like the benefit of that is so that you're used to the low level of oxygen?
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's like an
Yep.
oxygen deprivation tent type deal.
Basically, so when I get this tent, you take into consideration the elevation that you're at.
Yep,
And,
600 feet or whatever we're
yep,
at.
and then you say, okay, they recommended we start off at 5,000 feet.
Yeah.
So right, so then you're
Elevation.
basically in Denver,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So do a night or two there, and we just kept
Turning it up.
turning it up like 500 feet, maybe a night, and then sometimes they'd recommend maybe turn it down.
Yeah.
Once we got up to the
Like
higher
a cycle.
elevations, yeah. Once we got up to like 10,000 feet, okay, now go down. We recommend maybe Thursday night you sleep at 8,000 feet. And wow, you'd sleep so much better, And so it was kind of that you
Mm.
trick yourself. You're acclimating,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And another part of this machine that they sent us, I could go over, I have an elliptical machine in my basement and I wore a mask with a hose to it. And you could set that elevation. And I always just put it right at like 14,000 feet or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever the maximum was on that machine. And I would get on that thing and I would just work my butt off and do it for an hour or two or
Yeah.
whatever I felt like
Jeez.
doing. And you're just a sweat pile, right? I think I'd lose like 5 pounds doing that, but you felt so good when you're done with that because you know that you just did a workout at that elevation. That's something that's going to mask as close as I can get to
Right.
being at a real elevation.
Yeah.
So that was a real treat to be able to do that. I think that helped me a lot. I really in the trekking part at the elevation, I didn't have any problems.
Yeah.
And I would attribute it to that training.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
That was really good. But yeah, the trek over to Nepal
Mm.
it was long.
So you get from Kathmandu to go to
Yeah. So we fly into Nepal and we were gonna stay in Kathmandu for a couple days, but the benefit of that tent would have gone away if you wait more than 3 days.
Uh-oh.
You start losing the benefits of that.
Okay.
So because our change in plan, instead of going through Qatar we went to Seoul, so it took a little longer to get there from being away from your tent.
Yeah.
They immediately flew us up to, I think it's Namche is the name of the small city. There's a first experience of Namche Bazaar, I think is the actual name of it. And we stayed there. That was going to be our first city we would be staying in, or town, or whatever you want to call it, village.
Mm.
Sorry. And so we go there, and I think that was like 13 or 14,000 feet. So we get on a helicopter, we land there, and you just let me just tell you the experience of being on a helicopter through those mountains up there is breathtaking. I mean, it's a little bit scary. You
Oh,
see
I
these
bet.
huge mountains. You're like, okay, go ahead and you can raise this helicopter up a little
Yeah.
bit, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, they're experts at what they do. But that experience of being on a helicopter, that was kick ass. And we immediately they load you up the helicopter with like all this fuel, right? And
Yep.
we're just it's stuffed to the gill, this helicopter, and they have you land. I think there's this airport called Lukla in Nepal, and it's actually the most dangerous airport in the world. But we're not on a plane, you know, we're actually on a helicopter, so we just get a land, which is nice. But we watch this helicopter approach that landing pad, or the airstrip, if you will, and it's just like it just like starts right into a mountainside, and it's really breathtaking to watch that. You're like, okay, buddy, bring that helicopter or bring that airplane up a little bit, and they seem to make it all the time. But that was pretty cool. So then we get there and we dump a whole bunch of fuel, and when we leave it at not or at Lukla Airport, so then we can then fly up higher, right? So they have less weight
Yeah.
and to get up because not a lot of air can get under the rotor. So they take us up to Namche, and that's where we get off the helicopter and we start our experience.
Mm.
And that we stay there for, I think it was 2 nights of acclimating, and throughout that day or the days we would go up and hike, up to a higher elevation,
Yep.
and then we come back down and sleep there. And we did one thing that was really cool, and we went to this school, and it's for these little kids that are like, I think they were like maybe 5 or 6 years old, all the way up to, some kids have now graduated and they go on to like a middle school or a high school or whatever. But this particular one was in this village, and there was these little kids, and quite a few of them were orphans.
Mm.
And these kids are picked, or they're sponsored to come to the school where they get this fantastic education, and to see the joy in these little kids just running around. But what ended up happening is there was, I think, 75 pairs of Nike shoes were brought to these kids as a gift, for these, because kids don't have anything, right? They literally they have nothing.
Yeah.
And so the joy of watching these shoes be given to these kids, that was just total kick ass. And it was really weird. And my new friends that were with me, they're like, had like this baseball hat on, and they're like, these kids started looking at me, and I don't think they'd seen me with red hair.
Oh.
Or many
Okay.
of them, I think I don't know, they didn't know what to think of me,
Yeah.
I mean, but that experience of seeing those kids just get something so simple as a pair of shoes, it was just let me. It's really a poor area, and these kids, they'd see our phones and they just had so much joy, and they didn't. It was very rewarding to see that. Say that, and it was very cool of North Face, and this Alpine Ascents is the group, the guide service that we use. Incredibly generous people who provided all that, and the trip. It was amazing, no doubt. But yeah, I don't, that. So our experience of being in Namche,
Mm-hmm.
the very first time we get there, we walk up these, because it's built into a mountainside, and we walk up these steps. Probably walk up about like 200 feet or something. I can't, I can hardly breathe. I feel like there's an elephant on my chest, and I'm just thinking, holy shit, how am I gonna do this trek?
Yeah.
How am I gonna do this? But I looked around, I saw our guide, I saw all my other friends that were there, and we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
So it was our first experience of being at a real elevation. I've been at 14,000 feet in Colorado, and it was hard. Anyone that goes out there, it's harder to breathe. But
Heck yeah.
this was a little different.
Yeah.
It felt felt heavy, but the next day I felt great, you know. And so this whole process of acclimating, it really is an education, and that's why you go with a guide service and you go with these Sherpas. They know what they're doing.
Yeah. Right.
They were awesome. I mean, they walked you through it and said, you know, they made you feel comfortable because they you knew after a day or two that they knew what they were doing and they were going to get us there, you know.
Yeah.
So it was cool. Yeah.
So then from there, when do you get to base camp and how do you get there? Do you trek
Yeah, yep.
or is it like by truck or you're
Nope,
walking?
we're
Just
hiking
walking.
on these there are trails that are everywhere, right? And so you basically there's a you know, we just follow the Sherpas. They're
Yeah.
like our
Hey, follow
guides,
me.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But along the way you go through all these other little towns and
Mm.
we would stay at they're called tea houses. And you would hike maybe 6 to 8 miles to this next village.
Hmm.
And 6 to 8 miles doesn't seem like a whole lot. If I told you let's go hike that right now, it wouldn't be a problem. But boy, when you're at like 13 and you're getting up to 14, 15,000 feet,
Hmm. And you're carrying.
and we were carrying a day pack.
Okay.
So I probably never those day packs. I probably had maybe 10 to 15 pounds. But what we had were along the way we have porters, and porters are probably the most important people, some of the most important people in the Himalayas. These guys in the Khumbu area, these guys just would take our duffel bags that we
Hmm.
had all our stuff in. These duffel bags could weigh 40 to 50 pounds. And they would take these duffel bags and they would tie two or three together and carry them up the mountain. It was insane. And these guys they're small.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are like
Yeah.
you
So
know,
like their full body weight and more
it was
probably.
incredible.
Yeah.
And you felt like it was like, holy shit, these guys are killing it.
Yeah.
You know? So that was to me, the porters were so incredibly awesome. But so along the way, we'd hike 6 to 8 miles, go to a town, stay in a tea house. You know, it these tea houses, sometimes they didn't have electricity, or if they
Right.
did, it might be just in the main like food area,
Hmm.
right? Where you go down, there's like a lodge area where everyone kind of congregates together and has tea and eats their food and shares stories. And, and then you go back, there's almost down these hallways, there'd be like a hotel room. Imagine just where two beds would be in it, but they're really small beds, no electricity. Sometimes, there's no heat for the
Yeah.
most part, Um, there wasn't showers at all these places. There wasn't a toilet at all these places that you could sit on. There might be, somewhere you could squat
Yeah.
or, pee in a hole or
Right.
whatever it is. That to me was an experience. But anytime you got a real toilet, it was a real joy.
Yeah.
You want to make sure, man, I got to do number two. I hope it happens at this particular tea house because they got a nice facility,
Yeah.
So that was really cool. So, but we would do these 6 to 8 mile excursions every day, go out and just the most amazing mountains you're walking by, and the guides would be like, "Oh, there's Amadablam, there's Pamori, there's all that." But to get to base camp of Everest, which sits at about, I want to say it's like 17.5, somewhere right in there. I think it was like 6 to 9, maybe 9 days before we got there. So it's probably a 30-mile trek,
Yeah.
you know,
6 miles at a time.
yeah, somewhere
Yeah.
right in there. And then
Yep.
sometimes maybe we're stopping somewhere and we're going up and doing a hike up another mountain, that wasn't really getting us closer to base camp, but it was acclimating us. And we come back down and rest. So it was all part of the acclimation. And then they had some days built into our entire trip for weather, right?
Oh, yeah, in case something happened.
Yep. And we had the best weather. We got so lucky. I mean, it was gorgeous there. A lot of times during the day, you were just in a light jacket. One guy wore shorts. I don't
Yeah.
know why. He had amazing legs, I guess. But, and then sometimes you were wearing the full Himalayan parkas,
Mhm.
that were really, you needed because it'd get really cold and windy. I mean, it'd get really cold at night and beautiful during the day for the most part.
Yeah.
We didn't,
And the sun hits you different too, right? You're getting
that element, the
sunburn.
sun was a surprise to me. You had to wear
Those blinder things.
yeah, you had to wear sunglasses that were like for high
Yeah.
altitude,
Yeah.
really kind of dark glasses. you were constantly, I'd almost have my hood up,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because the sun would hit you and it'd burn your ears or your face. And the
yeah.
sun was, I mean, our guide was great. And he'd be like, put on your sunscreen and, that light would reflect off of the snow or, even the rocks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I got burned under my nose. But so our base camp trek was amazing. It was just an incredible experience. And it was hard
Yeah,
because the elevation getting up there, you start breathing quite hard, and it took a while to get acclimated. There's no doubt. But I know we don't have all that much time, but
yeah.
but going at base camp, we get there and you walk in and there's this area, there's this huge rock that says "Welcome to base camp." And it's kind of if you follow anything online, you look at it, you see all these people taking pictures of it.
Yeah.
Well, that was the start of base camp. Alpine Ascents and North Face had their section way at the back of base camp. They said they like to do it away from everybody. That way, because people from all over the world, that way people aren't exposed or maybe
Yeah.
get, a lot of people get sick there, right? You would hate to get sick. And if you were going to go do Everest and actually try to summit that mountain, wouldn't that suck to get some bad illness,
Oh yeah.
So they do a good job and try to get everyone away from there. But what we were able to do was stay there 2 nights. It was like a bonus. We knew we were staying one night, but they ended up letting us stay there for 2 nights. And we weren't supposed to really probably talk about this, but whatever. We went back to the Khumbu Ice Fall, which is kind of the start of the trek to base camp. It's often referred to as some of the most dangerous parts of when someone tries to summit Everest.
Mm-hmm.
We were right on the edge of that Khumbu Ice Fall, it was so cool. Just being back in there and just seeing it, like it's real, right? You see all those, I can't pronounce, seracs is what they call them, these ice
Oh yeah.
fissures that come up. I mean, they're real. It was incredibly awesome. And you're on a moving glacier, like base camp is on a glacier. So every year when they break down base camp, they kind of have to rebuild and remove all the scree to get a flat surface to put everyone's tents and mess halls and all
Mm-hmm.
those things. The base camp, we were there before all of the climbers. So when we were there, it was more of the Sherpas and a lot of the porters and everyone bringing equipment there and building the camps. So we were there probably 4 or 5 days before all the people who were trying to summit Everest.
Yep.
So we were able to play there. And wow, when you're there at night, it was the alpenglow in the mountains, right? It was just absolutely gorgeous. Like it's just you can hear the rocks falling, you can hear the ice moving, you could just hear all that at night. And and then one night it was the winds were blowing so hard I thought our tent was gonna just blow apart, and you're kind of laying there and the wind wakes you up. But then you get out in the morning and it's just this perfect sun glow, and just you're just surrounded by all these beautiful mountains.
Did they let you take pictures? Did you get to take pictures?
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah, we were able to take a lot of pictures. In fact, our group has probably
Like a shared
a
folder, you
shared
guys.
folder, and
Yeah.
there's, I was awful at pictures, but some people had a really nice camera. One guy just was really good with his phone camera. So
Yeah.
yeah, we've shared those, and the pictures are amazing. Sometimes you almost need to have a human like hiking on a trail so you can see the
Oh,
size of that
yeah.
human to see
Yeah.
how big that
Perspective.
mountain. Yeah,
Yeah.
because the mountains are
I know.
majestic. I guess in where you get a bigger mountain in the world, you really
You
don't.
can't.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, it was, and so that was our being at base camp was such a cool experience. Um, it was cool to be there because you hear a lot about it, and it's real. I mean, it is. You see that, and there's people that are going to risk their lives to go
Mhm.
to that climb, and you're like, okay, I'm here at this point where there's been some unfortunate things happen at base camp too. There's been avalanche, and some really unfortunate things happen there as well. But so that was just kind of part of the journey. One of the next thing we went and did was that climb,
Mhm.
which was called Island Peak, which for us to go do that, we had to hike back down the mountain and you go around this other mountain range right there. You go over to a new base camp that's Island Peaks Base Camp. And that's probably at a similar, 17,000 feet. Be honest, I
Yeah.
don't know exactly what it was, but we stayed there. And then we got up we left at 12:30 at night to try to go summit Island Peak.
So you guys got headlamp and
We
stuff?
got headlamps on. We're in,
And we know you didn't have oxygen though.
no,
Okay.
we never wore oxygen the whole time. We didn't need it at our elevation. I suppose you could have worn it, but you don't really need
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
You don't need it at
Yeah.
that point. Yeah, but we start that trek up, and basically we're just hiking, right? Trekking poles, and then we go to this other side of the mountain again, and then we start our vertical, and the trail starts getting a lot of switchbacks, really
Mhm.
rocky, and we're just following the Sherpas along the way. They know what they're doing, and it was hard. Like you're breathing, you're exhausted because the elevation starts playing more of a role. And there's a little bit of fear, right?
Yeah.
When you're because I don't know what's lurking around the
Yeah, it's
corner, right?
dark. Yeah.
It's dark, but I felt like I was in good hands, and I felt like I was in pretty good shape, at least for the beginning of that. Um, my teammates were all, you can hear everyone breathing, but we're doing great, right? And there's other teams doing this too. See,
Yeah.
up the trail ahead
You
of
see
us and
lights.
behind us, you see
Yeah.
lights, which was
Yeah.
kind of cool. And it starts to get a little more hairy. And once it started to become like daylight,
Yeah.
uh, we get to a point where we had to put on all our double boots and our crampons, our harnesses, all the climbing equipment. And we get on rope because now we're on rope pretty much the rest of the trek. And we're starting to walk up some pretty steep verticals, some packed ice, some just snow fields,
Hmm.
jumping a couple small crevasses, um, and then there's actually some straight up rock face that we were going vertical up that was a lot more technical than I think I thought. Maybe
Yeah.
that some of us all thought, and that was pretty exhausting. Um, but we had Sherpas, and the Sherpas were there every step of the way. Not only that, your teammates were there every step of the way, kind of encouraging each other. It was just an incredible experience to be on that. There's many times where I thought, "F this, I'm
Yeah.
so tired. Maybe you can just get me on the way down. I'll just sit
Yeah.
down here. I got a couple
Yeah.
warm jackets. I got a full suit. I can just sit here.
Right.
Come get me in a few hours."
Yeah.
I was so fucking tired. Um, and the only thing that made it feel good is our guide looked a little bit tired. Some of my teammates looked tired. So, but we motivated each other to keep going. And the beauty, you just look around, and you're like, I
Yeah.
can't believe I'm doing this.
So you got to see the sun rise.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah, sunrise, and then there's some points where you get really hot, like you get warm because
Mm.
you're physically
Yeah.
creating a lot
Burning
of,
calories.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you'd stop and rest, and you'd need to put on your full Himalayan parka and everything because you get really cold again. But yeah, we were on a lot of ropes. We ascended quite a bit. We had an ice axe. We rappelled a lot more than I thought because you go up, you got to come back down
Yeah.
those ropes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of ropes. Um,
So what was the total like elevation that you got to the peak?
I want to say it's like right around 21.
Jeez.
I'd have to see 20. I forgot right
Yeah.
now, but
But
it's somewhere in the
up there.
20s. Yeah.
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 It's like 4 miles.
20,000 or 21,000.
Yeah.
It's up there. Yeah. And it's hard to breathe. There's no doubt that true, like when I was ascending that final push, it was like take a step. I'm like, oh, I gotta breathe.
Mm-hmm.
But I was lucky to have the Sherpa because he was right there. My hands are freezing. You constantly have to reset your ascender going around like some sort of anchor in the snow or the ice.
Oh yeah.
And that was a lot of work. I mean, undoing the carabiners and locking them back up. It just was constant. But yeah, again, we were so lucky to have experts that we learned how to do everything, but they were right there to double check, make
Mhm.
sure because you have a guide service. Our hands are, they're responsible for us, right? And they taught us all the skills we needed to do it. I was lucky to have a little bit of that taught to me. I learned a little bit of that before I went, but yeah, it was quite the experience. It was hard,
Yeah.
but rewarding for
So
sure.
I've heard and I've read books about it and everything like that. That it's harder getting down
Yeah,
than it is going up
yeah, I would.
because like a lot could go like wrong because you're going with the mountain.
Yeah. I mean,
You know.
I would say when we were ascending straight up that rock face.
Yeah. Like how am I gonna get down?
Yeah, I knew we had to come back down it
Yeah.
because they told us that.
Right.
And so when you're coming back down, you're looking for a landing space because we had crampons and the rock face itself. a lot of places, most of the places, there was no snow or ice on there because the sun would have melted it. So trying to get those sharp points on a, where you could stand on
Yeah.
that was a little bit difficult. I
Yeah.
didn't have as much experience with that. That was where I learned a lot there. I would, how like you'd like to do something over again. Like,
Yeah.
you did it and you accomplished it, but
Yeah.
man, I would love to do that over again because I'd be better at it. That's one of those experiences. Like I look forward to doing that again, but being away for 20 some days,
Yeah.
that was tough too.
When you go down, is there any point where you're facing the mountain to go down? Like you're going down, like
Yeah, some of
into the
that.
mountain?
Yeah, some of the rappelling we did, you're on like using like a belay
Yep.
device, but there are some where maybe it's not quite as steep. It's a little more of just a really steep hill,
Mm-hmm.
and you could get the rope and wrap it around your arm, and there's a way of self belaying, if you will,
Yep.
if you're going
What you're
down.
saying, yeah.
Yep, and so you're just trekking down the mountain with the rope because if you fall, you could be in trouble, right? Because at that particular point, you have to let go of your ice axe and you kind of put that onto your bag. And then when you're going down, there's a ways of hanging onto the rope. You'd still put a safety device on the rope, so if you did fall, it would hopefully stop you. But then you could grip the rope in a manner that you could go down
Mm-hmm.
and just take giant steps, and your speed is whatever you felt comfortable at.
Yep.
Or you could wrap the rope around your back arm and just kind of slide down. I didn't love that technique just because it was pretty hard on the equipment,
Mm-hmm.
tore up the jacket. But yeah, we did quite a bit of that actually. And the Sherpas, oh my God, watching those guys sometimes on the straight up and down,
Yeah.
those guys they're like monkeys going up and down those rocks. It was absolutely insane how good they were on that. I couldn't believe those Sherpas. I'm blown away by the level of talent that they have. It was cool. Yeah, but yeah, so a lot of the times, yes, you're facing the mountain. I would say going down it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was tired, but you kind of know once you get down, you've accomplished your goal. So that was you always in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, I can do this. Going up was a little harder because I didn't know where it ended. You can't see the
Right.
top of the
Oh
mountain.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, are we there
Yeah.
yet?
False summit
Yeah,
the
a
whole
lot
way
of
up.
false summits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then you get back and then your journey is over. You guys make the trek back after the summit, or did you stay longer?
So we came back down to the base camp,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had an opportunity, like a window. We're getting to the end of it, and if we make it down a couple towns or a couple different villages, that is where the helicopter would pick us up and take us back to Kathmandu.
Gotcha.
So I think the motivation for some of us, as much as we love being there and it's beautiful and we created these new friendships,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you kind of had a new family there, so to speak. You wanted to get back, right? And we wanted to get back to Kathmandu,
Mm.
wanted to take a shower,
Yeah.
you just wanted, I don't know, go have a beer, whatever it was. So the motivation is we got to base camp and it was probably like 6 o'clock at night. We basically ate some food and we walked down to the next village, which I think they said it was 3 miles. I think it was like 6.5.
Yeah.
It wasn't all downhill. I don't know how they found going back uphill, but
Yeah.
we went back uphill. I was probably as tired as I've ever been in my life when we got to that village because we were back in headlamps,
Mm-hmm.
hiking along these beautiful mountains that if you go over the edge, you're done,
Yeah.
right? And but we made it back to there, and we spent the night there, and then we got up the next morning early and went down one more village. Back to it's called Dingbushe was the name of this village, and that was kind of the main area. It seemed like we were there like 3 or 4 times, spent several nights there.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't mention this because I want to be respectful, but we were fortunate along the way to spend a little bit of time with a couple North Face athletes.
Okay.
Jimmy Chin, he just happened to be over there doing a trek with his family on like a spring break.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so that was really cool. We got to hear some of his stories and be part of a journey that another gentleman named Jim Morrison, who is one of the only humans to ski down Everest.
Yeah.
And I think he skied down the north side, if I remember them saying that, which is the only human to ever do that. And wow, those two are incredible
imagine.
athletes. Yeah, we heard some of their stories and got an experience with them at this climbing school. That's a Sherpa climbing school in a town called Port Say. And they brought in they're going to have a film coming out this fall that's going to be absolutely breathtaking. We saw a little 5-minute footage of it, and they brought in their team who helped put that together, and it was like a celebration for
Yeah,
them.
that's cool.
And I look forward to seeing that movie and that journey because what we watch, I was like, I'm watching it, and I'm like, holy shit! I hope, oh my god, are they going to make it?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait, he's right here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, yeah, it was a really cool experience. My whole team, uh, some of them knew a lot more about Jimmy Chin than I did,
Yeah.
and Jim Morrison, and they were just in heaven watching
That's
that.
awesome.
And so I'm learning a little bit more about those two particular gentlemen right now, and I can't wait to hopefully, we're going out to Tahoe in a month, and I'm going out with some North Face family again, and I think a lot of our guys are going to get together, and we're going to get to play in the mountains here in about a month.
Nice.
So hopefully those athletes are there again, so we can talk more about it.
No, that's really cool. No, so yeah, I don't want to take all of your day here. I really appreciate you doing this.
You
It's a
bet.
cool story. Anything you want to kind of end with in terms of like for active kind of marketing
Yeah.
spiel you want to throw out
Well,
there?
hey, we are lucky to be in the Quad Cities. We got an awesome store with great customer support. We've been really lucky to have a whole lot of people like our store, like myself, like our staff.
Hmm.
We get great support. Our community does such a good job. We have some people that like to play outside. We have trails to go play on. We don't have the mountains, but we got these hills and we got trails. We've got other stores in the area here who can help outfit you. But from my perspective, get outside and play because man,
Yeah.
there's a lot to do around here. And I want to again say thanks to a lot of people. The North Face, Jonathan Evans, my sales rep, Peter. Thanks for recommending me, and my team of that we went and climbed with. Um, they were all awesome. We're still chatting.
Yeah.
I think we've created a friendship that's probably gonna last forever.
That's cool.
So
Yeah,
that's
that.
it's a fun thing.
Yeah.
I think that whole experience, if somebody said, "What'd you get out of that?" Man, the friendships that I made were pretty important to me. So I really enjoyed that, and thankful to have my staff here be able to run the ship
Mhm.
while I'm gone. I could disappear for a year and they would do a great job.
Yeah.
So I don't know who paid the bills though.
Yeah, right.
But no, thank you,
All right,
John.
Matt. Thanks
Yeah,
a lot. I really appreciate you doing
you
this.
bet.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Take care.